Alright, so in this video I'm just going to review some basic trig that we're going to need for physics. So we'll be dealing with right triangle trigonometry. So we have one side that's a right angle, and if we're talking about this angle here, we would identify the three sides of this right triangle as of this being the opposite, this one being next to the angle adjacent, and then the long side the hypotenuse. All right, and we know the phrase so, ka, toa, and this tells us how to calculate our three different trig identities, so sine, cosine, and tangent. So the sine of this angle theta is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. The cosine of the angle theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, and the tangent of theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. All right. Now, if we were going to solve for the angle, which quite often is asked of us, let me just make up some numbers here. Let's say my hypotenuse is 11 units, whatever that might be. We'll just put U for units. And then over here, the opposite, let's say this is 4.3 units. Okay. So if I was going to solve for and wanted to know the angle, I would use sine because I have opposite and a hypotenuse. And so I'd have the sine of my angle is equal to 4.3 over 11. So if I punch that into my calculator, I get 4.3 divided by 11. So the sine of the angle is 0.39, but I want to know the angle. So actually what I'll do is I'll use the sine to the -1 button, which is right here. Now, one thing I do want to point out, if you're in calculus especially, very often you are going to be putting your calculator into radians, right? And we in physics always need to have your calculator in degrees. So always make sure when you walk into this class to change the mode of your calculator so that we're not dealing with radians, right? So mine is in degrees, so I'm good to go. So I'm going to just do this inverse sine to the -1 of my answer. And I get that angle is roughly 23 degrees. So the angle is 23 degrees. Now the only other thing that we might need to be able to do is the Pythagorean Theorem. So recall that a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where a is one of the sides, so like a adjacent squared, b being the opposite squared, would be equal to hypotenuse squared. Right? And that really, in a nutshell, is all of the trigonometry that you'll need for this physics class.